What's going on, everybody? Jolt here from the Token Minorities, and I am back with the battle from the BFA Round 5 tournament. This happens to be the top 16 against Commonly, who is packing a pretty terrifying team for this game. Now, what I will say, before we go any further, I want to, apologize because I made a little bit of a mistake with my Google Chrome, and I had to uninstall and reinstall it, which means I lost all of my team files. So I'm just going to have to kind of tell you the sets and stuff off the top of my head, which I think I'm able to do relatively well with this team at least. So yeah, make sure to check out the last episode if you haven't seen that already. That'll be linked down in the description below, along with a playlist for all of the battles so far from this tournament. So my opponent Commonly is rocking the Thunderous Incarnate, Blacephalon, Dragalge, Gligar, Licky Licky, Mega Medicham, Tapu Fini, and Registeel, with his Z-move users being the Thunderous and the Licky Licky. Thunderous is a super Z-move user, but I don't really think there's much along the lines of like special Z-moves that a Thunderous typically uses, so I can just expect it to be more of an offensive Z-move user. So pretty threatening team overall. He has some really disgusting fat Registeel, Tapu Fini, Gligar, Dragalge, Licky Licky, like that combines to be a pretty nasty defensive core. With really good offenses too, honestly, with Mega Medicham, Thunderous, Blacephalon. That combination can break almost everything, so he's definitely drafted a really good team here, and it's not really surprising to see him in the top 16 of this tournament. But in terms of what I'm trying to do now with this game, basically my goal is to survive his onslaught of offense and try to win with my Scarf and Infernape. Infernape has a really good matchup against him when I have speed control, and when I couple Scarf and Infernape with Hazard Stack, and you look across his draft, he obviously struggles against that a lot, especially because his best switch-ins to Infernape are all hit neutrally or super effectively by Earthquake. Those being like Blacephalon, which isn't really a switch-in per se, but it does resist Infernape's dual stab, so of course being able to hit that super effectively with Earthquake is nice. Same applies to Dragalge. Being able to hit that is nice as well. And the other mons that might want to switch into this, like the Tapu Fini or the Gligar, I can easily U-turn on and immediately threaten with other members of my team. Plus, Infernape can of course pack that Gunk Shot for the Tapu Fini, or Hidden Power Ice potentially for Gligar if I wanted to, but as we'll talk about here in just a second, I'm not going to bring Hidden Power Ice on my Infernape for this game, just because, you know, Gligar's really fat, and if I'm not running a Life Orb, Hidden Power Ice doesn't do a whole lot to Gligar from a physically oriented Scarfed Infernape. So let's talk about my team a little bit here very briefly. Like I said, Choice Scarfed Infernape is coming this week. It does need to be nearly max speed to make sure I outpace a Scarfed Blacephalon. Going into this matchup, I really felt like Scarfed Blacephalon was his best overall offensive win condition against my team, so I wanted to make sure that my win condition was able to check his best win condition, and if that's the case, then that immediately puts me in a good position in this game. So I'm expecting Scarf Blacephalon this week, so a Scarfed Infernape made a lot of sense. I made sure to outspeed that. I am running U-turn, Earthquake, Flare Blitz, and Gunk Shot on the Infernape in this game. Then I am packing a sub-Double Dance 1000 Arrows Zygarde with leftovers and a lot of special defense investment to again allow me to better deal with the Blacephalon defensively. It might bring Hidden Power Ice. I would not be surprised if it brings Hidden Power Ice, but when he brings Blacephalon, I'm really expecting a Choice Scarf variant, just because like on paper it looks so good against me that I think it'll be hard for him to pass up. So Spadef Zygarde really helps with that. And obviously, if he ever decides to lock into Hidden Power Ice, then I can abuse that with other members of my team, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that Zygarde definitely has an opportunity to win this game. Even just looking at the 6 mons that he's bringing for this game, it definitely has a good chance here. And then Mega Diancie, relatively straightforward set. It is my Stealth Rocker in this game, because it's able to do a nice job against his potential defoggers. He's more likely to try to go into his Registeel on the Diancie, which means I can have my Stealth Rocks up for a longer period of time in the game. So I like Diancie as the Stealth Rocker. Then I am packing the Earth Power for the obvious Registeel switch-in. as well as, yeah, for the Registeel specifically. Moonblast is really spammable against this entire team, and then Hidden Power Ice just in case he wants to try to use more of a Spadef Gligar to try to switch into Diancie. I've done that in the past, and I could easily see him trying to do that here as well. Then I am packing the Ferrothorn, which has Leech Seed, Spikes, Knockoff, and Power Whip with a Chople Berry. It's meant to be a sort of a check to Thundurus, but more so meant to set up Spikes to annoy his team and to just punish him whenever he wants to switch around. Nothing switches into this freely necessarily, and if he does decide to switch Thundurus into my Ferrothorn, I get off really key chip damage with a Knockoff or a Power Whip, or even just Leech Seed after a couple turns, and that will put it in range of one of the lures here coming up on this team in a second. So just a good mon against him, really good utility as Ferrothorn has proven to be throughout this entire tournament so far. Then I have the Mesprit, which is Fizz Def, meant to be my counter to the Medicham. More of a check, I guess. Basically how I plan to use this with the moveset being U-turn, Toxic, Ice Punch, and Zen Headbutt, more of like a physical Mesprit with Toxic for the Licky Licky. The idea behind this isn't necessarily to beat Medicham 1v1 with this Pokemon, but it's meant to switch into it and then to U-turn on it. Because if I get a slow U-turn on Medicham, I'm able to slowly pivot into the mons that are able to best deal with Medicham, like the Crobat, like the Scarf and Fernape. Potentially the Diancie if he's not running the Bullet Punch, which he probably will be. Most likely to be like the Crobat trying to check this, or the Infernape, either way. So being able to U-turn on the Medicham is really nice. So I felt like that was the most effective way that a Mesprit would be able to check a Medi. So that's the idea with that. And then finally I have a really cool set. The Crobat is running Natural Gift Ice in this game specifically for the Thundurus or the Gligar if he had decided to bring it, but more likely for the Thundurus, being able to knock that thing down into range of a lot of stuff on my team, specifically my Ferrothorn. Those two work together really well to help deal with the Thundurus, as Thundurus is easily a massive threat to my team too. Good speed tier against me. It's able to naturally outspeed my entire team, bar Crobat and Choice Scarfers, so naturally he will think that's a potential win con for him as well. So that's just a way to help me combat that. If he ever decides to recklessly switch in his Thundurus on my Crobat, he will quickly regret that choice and eat a base 100, I believe, Natural Gift Ice to the Dome, which will either knock him out depending on his investment or put him in guaranteed range of Ferrothorn, and that's exactly what I want to have happen here in this game. So that's the team I am bringing. In terms of the lead matchup, I'm going to lead off with my Crobat because it beats pretty much his whole team. I guess I never said what the rest of Crobat's set was. It's running Natural Gift Ice, Taunt Super Fang to help against the potential Registeel switch in, and Brave Bird, of course, for the Medicham. So it makes a lot of sense, I think. So I am going to actually lead off with that, with the Crobat, because it is running Inner Focus. He's not going to be able to fake me out with Medicham if that's what he wants to lead with. And if he leads with Registeel, it's a free Taunt into a Super Fang. If he leads with the Thundurus, it's a free Natural Gift Ice, and we'll see how much it does and go from there. Now, I realize I can't Taunt the Licky Licky. That's fine. I don't necessarily need to. I have other ways on my team to deal with that. But with that said, we're leading off with the Crobat. Let's go ahead and jump on into this, as I do lead off with the Crobat, and he leads off with the Thundurus. Now this turn actually is a little bit interesting because this is potentially risking my Crobat. He could easily be a Choice Scarf Thundurus. I don't think he's going to be, and even if he's not Choice Scarf, he has a pretty good chance to be able to live the Natural Gift Ice if he has like any investment, or I think he might even be guaranteed if I remember the count correctly. So he's probably going to live this attack, but the thing is, I don't think he goes for a turn 1 Thunderbolt against my team. And that's a bit of a bold statement to make on turn 1, but I don't think he goes for that. When I have a Zygarde and a Ferrothorn in the back, he's more likely to go for maybe a U-turn, maybe a Volt Switch. I could see a Volt Switch. But yeah, I'm more expecting him to go for like a U-turn on this turn, or maybe even a knockoff, even a taunt, potentially expecting me to try to go into my Ferrothorn. So I felt like he probably would not go for an electric move. Even if he did, I was willing to sacrifice my Crobat in exchange for getting the Thundurus into guaranteed range of Stealth Rock and or my Ferrothorn. So I do just stay in, go for the Natural Gift to get 78% on the Thundurus, as he does just go for the U-turn, so I did manage to get that play correct. He decides to go straight into his Registeel, which is perfect. Going to be able to go for the Taunt followed by the Super Fang and get this thing whittled down into range of my Diancie. You know, here I'm going to go into my Ferrothorn. I don't remember exactly what I was predicting. I think I just wanted to go into Ferrothorn to get a little more chip damage off on him with my Iron Barbs, in addition to getting a layer of spikes onto the field. That's almost certainly what I was thinking in the moment. It's been a little while since this game at this point. But yeah, so he did actually pull a nice double into his Blacephalon as I went to Ferrothorn, so that's a little unfortunate. Now he's going to pull a triple switch going into his Thundurus on my Ferrothorn, switch into Diancie. I'm going to stay in on the Thundurus in my Unmega Evolved form so I could take a Hidden Power Steal if he had that. That'll just give me a chance to get my Stealth Rocks up on the incoming Licky Licky. Now I'm going to go straight into my Ferrothorn as he sets up a Wish with his Thundurus. This gives me a chance to set up a Leech Seed. If he did have a Fire move on the Licky Licky, I would be able to take it pretty well, and in combination with Leech Seed, I could chew it up pretty nicely. I'm going to set up a Spike now on the Tapu Fini. I guess he might have thought I would fear Taunt or something and decided to go into his Blacephalon in that situation. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know, I don't really see Blacephalon as a hard switch into Ferrothorn, but it is what it is. He does make that play, and I get up a Spike with Ferrothorn. Now I'm going to go into my Diancie, which is not Mega Evolved yet, so I know I can take 2 Shadow Balls. And yeah, so I make that play here. I'm going to stay Unmega Evolved again, just because I can. I don't think I need to Mega Evolve at this point. Go for the Earth Power in case he wants to go Registeel. That's exactly what he does in combination with the Spikes and 2 Earth Powers. Even through the Shuka Berry, I'm able to knock out the Registeel, which is amazing. Now here I'm going to go straight for the Moonblast as I Mega Evolve on the Licky Licky just to see what his investment is. I didn't think he'd go straight for an attack. I also didn't really think he would have coverage for me. I more expected to see maybe like Ice Beam plus Dragon Tails as coverage, maybe Ice Beam or Ice Punch plus like normal coverage. I didn't think he would actually pack coverage for Diancie, but it turns out he actually has the Earthquake, so he does get me there. But my main goal was just to get this thing weakened a little bit for later on in the game when I'm trying to sweep with my Infernape, as I'm not actually packing the close combat on my Infernape in this game, if I recall correctly. So that was pretty important to be able to do. As I'm going to go into my Zygarde, I'm going to go for a Coil as it goes for Wish, and then scout for his ice coverage with my substitute. If he was an Ice Punch Licky Licky, I actually would be able to beat it 1v1 pretty easily, but he has Ice Beam, unfortunately, so I'm going to go into my Ferrothorn hard just to get rid of his leftovers with a knockoff. And here I know yeah, he was really feeling pressured by the hazard, so he goes straight into his Tapu Fini on my Ferrothorn to try to defog them away, which is fair enough, but I will definitely take that trade because that makes Infernape's job so much easier in the late game by getting that huge damage off with the Power Whip. Plus I can just get that Spike right back up on the Thundurus since the Tapu Fini was Leech Seeded at the time. Now here he goes for a Taunt with his Thundurus on my Ferrothorn as I knock him out with a Power Whip. I thought that was kind of an interesting play. I was surprised he didn't just go for the damage on the Ferrothorn so that maybe his Licky Licky would be able to knock me out, or get the damage on my Ferrothorn with his Thundurus, as I'm sure he had some kind of powerful fighting move, but you know, I'm able to keep my Ferrothorn at nearly max health here in this situation, which is also really nice because now with my Chople Berry, I can still take a hit from Mega Medicham as well, and that could be really important here in the late game. He's going to go into his Blacephalon because the Misty Terrain is up. I don't fear a Will-O-Wisp, which was one option I was thinking he might try to bring on a Scarf Blacephalon, so I can go straight into my Zygarde on the incoming Fire Blast. And I'm going to be able to just Dragon Dance straight up with the Zygarde as it goes into his Licky Licky. I'm going to go for 1,000 arrows, and that just bounces off the Licky Licky. So obviously I didn't have much attack investment on my Zygarde in this game, but yeah, I'll pause here as well. But even so, he just goes for the Ice Beam. My Spadef comes through. I chew that. I'm able to then go for another 1,000 arrows and crit and knock him out. So yeah, sorry dude, that sucks. The fact of the matter is, I still think I had other ways to play around the Licky Licky, but obviously by getting the crit here with the Zygarde, it puts me in such a good position against the rest of his team. Is now my offense, like the combination, really just Infernape wins at this point with Finny so weakened. Finny is down at 21%, and the Infernape obviously outspeeds the Blacephalon and outspeeds the Mega Medicham, so I can almost just spam Flare Blitz at this point, honestly, with how weakened his team is. So yeah, that really sucked. That basically meant he automatically was going to lose the game once he got crit there, but I did have the Toxic on my Mesprit, and I also had pretty decent options all around. Like my Ferrothorn still at full health to help annoy the Licky Licky. I knocked off its leftovers, so it was going to get whittled down throughout the rest of my team, in my opinion. So in the long run, I don't think it made too much of an impact, but it definitely made the game close up here a lot faster than it would have otherwise. As now he's going to go into his Blacephalon, and that spike damage actually puts him almost in guaranteed range of Infernape's Flare Blitz, but I'm not going to risk that quite yet because I can force him into spikes one more time and just go for a nice Earthquake here and knock out the Tapu Fini, as now he's forced to go into his Medicham. I have a dedicated switch into this in my Mesprit, and I'm going to just go into that, and he makes a nice double into the Blacephalon, but that spike has put him in guaranteed range of my Infernape's Flare Blitz if that is what I want to do, but he actually goes for a Shadow Ball as I sack off my Ferrothorn, and that gives me a very free knockoff on the incoming Medicham. Now here I'm going to go into my Mesprits, as what I'm going to be able to do now as he reveals the bulk up is just go for a nice U-turn with my Mesprit. I am actually a little bit attack invested if I recall correctly, and that does a good chunk of damage with U-turn. I'm able to get a free switch into my Crobat. He cannot switch into with anything on his team, and now I'm going to sack off my Crobat to the Fire Blast that he misses, and then I would have been able to clean up with my Scarf Infernape, but instead Crobat steals the kill, and we are able to win this game against Commonly in a 4-0 fashion when it probably should have been about a 2-0 like most of my other games in this tournament, if the Licky Licky didn't get crit, and if of course the Fire Blast hit my Crobat. So that was a pretty good game, a little bit hacksy. Unfortunately, that's how Pokemon goes, but the team came through. The tech on a Crobat, I'm really happy that worked out with a Natural Gift. So yeah, that's something I like to bring Natural Gift on random mons from time to time. Shout out to the Verd. I know he's another guy who really likes Natural Gift on his mons, but I think it's a really good move in the format. It's definitely high risk. You have to put it on mons that don't telegraph that they're running it. Like if you run, for example, like a Breloom with SD against an Amoonguss, shout out to the MV matchup in the GBA, then it's kind of telegraphed that you're running Natural Gift in those situations. Same could maybe apply to, let me think of another good example. I guess like a Azumarill against a Mega Scizor, it's somewhat telegraphed that it could easily be running like Wattleberry, Natural Gift, Fire for the Scizor. That kind of thing is kind of obvious in draft format. It's easy to scout for. Here's another good example against Geo in the GBA this season when he brought the Natural Gift Fire Shame, and when I saw SD, like my brain immediately went to Natural Gift. That's kind of obvious. It's kind of telegraphed. I don't think Crobat with Natural Gift is telegraphed at all because it doesn't require any kind of setup. It doesn't require like an SD to be a threat with it. It can just bop the Thunders immediately for big damage, and he never saw it coming, right? So that's where Natural Gift is really good in the format, I think. And yeah, I was really happy he was able to work out well in this game. But yeah, good game to my opponent. I don't think he plans, I don't know if he uploads his matches or not, but if he does, you know, if he sees this video, maybe comment down below, let me know, and I can link that in the description below. But yeah, so we do actually advance to the top 8 of BFA, where we are facing Moxie Boosted, I believe is his username. So not Moxie Infernape, not my Achilles heel, thankfully. But yeah, we're facing Moxie Boosted in the top 8 of BFA. That'll be coming out here in a few days, so I hope you're looking forward to that. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to check out the other videos from this series if you haven't already. Again, that's linked down in the description below. Again, shout out to Johnny GB for hosting a fantastic tournament. Had a lot of fun with this. And, you know, I think I am done here. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.